Good day and welcome to the Military and Foreign Affairs Network. I'm your host, the voice of reason. So in this video, I wanted to provide a update and a synopsis of the strategic overview on what has occurred over the last few weeks inside of the Tigray region. And I think this is very important to kind of look at the events that occurred and what is now happening now, and just try to compare, contrast, and I'm going to try to give everyone a view on what I am seeing and I think is occurring or has occurred. So, inside of the Tigray region, the Ethiopian army has suffered a tremendous military defeat. And the Ethiopian army obviously suffered thousands of casualties and thousands of prisoners of war, which caused a collapse of the fighting structure inside of the Ethiopian army inside of the Tigray region. On top of that, there was significant political infighting between leadership in the army, the Ethiopian army, the political elite, the Amhara political elite, the federal political elite inside of Addis Ababa, which could have led to a military coup. And in fact, we have probably seen the arrest of several high-ranking military officials inside the Ethiopian army. So when this collapse occurred, the Ethiopian army obviously has withdrawn in defeat from the Tigray region. At that point in time, the Ethiopian government issued a unilateral ceasefire, which was basically a request to cease hostilities. However, that request for a unilateral ceasefire was rejected by the Tigrayan Defense Forces, as the Tigrayan Defense Forces had momentum, and they did not want to give up that momentum. So the TDF has progressed or proceeded with operations in a very high tempo of operational methodology in terms of what they were focusing on achieving. Now, when that occurred, in terms of the rejection of the Ethiopian ceasefire, the unilateral ceasefire, the Ethiopian government is now on the defensive, and they are looking to recruit reserve populations from other regions of Ethiopia, from the standing paramilitary groups that exist. These forces really don't have the capacity to launch a general offensive. However, the Ethiopian government is trying to position itself to give the perception that it has the ability to launch offensive operations with these forces. But again, that's just to give a perception and to create that perception that they are on a strong footing and they may have that capability, but they do not. And unfortunately, this is going to cause a continuation of the conflict. The TDF is not stopping. They continue to have momentum. And as these reserve units, these regional forces, if they actually respond to call up, are being moved into place, they will suffer military defeats, as they're just not properly trained, equipped to conduct offensive operations, especially in the Tigray region. They just don't understand the region, they don't know it, they're not from the area, and they're not experienced from 6 months of fighting. The outlook for the Ethiopian army would really have to be a stand down and a refit and a reformation, which would probably take at least 4 to 6 months to get the Ethiopian army in a condition where it could possibly start offensive operations again. And again, I really believe that the current disposition of forces, the current rhetoric that is coming out of the Ethiopian capital sounds offensive in nature, that they're ready to launch an offensive operation into the Tigray region. But I don't think that is the reality on the ground. I do not believe they have that capacity yet. And I think we're going to continue to see military defeats and military operations continue. Obviously, the defeats will come probably on the part of these Amhara militias and the remnants of the Ethiopian army, and we could see localized, obviously localized defeats because of the operations within the TDF as well. It is a fairly conflict of large scope and large scale, and it continues. But just to kind of give a strategic analysis on what we hear some of this rhetoric and we hear this talk of these large scale offensive operations and some of the rhetoric that is coming from Abiy Ahmed. I believe that this is simply trying to create a perception, but unfortunately for them, it is not reality. The reality is they suffered a catastrophic military defeat, and they're trying to figure out a way out of this. And they were under the impression that a unilateral ceasefire and a withdrawal would have placated the Tigrayan Defense Forces. Fortunately, that is not the case, and the TDF continue operations as we speak. And I will continue to update, and I hope this gave a little bit of insight from my point of view. Have a great day, everybody.